Hey guys, King of Charm Managers here. Alright, so I was asked to make a Machamp level 50 video XL since a lot of you did grind Community Day and a lot of you probably have the XL candy you need to make an XL Machamp. So to make this video really simple, what we're going to do is assume a level 50 Machamp versus the Open Master League meta. And I'm going to assume that everything in Master League is at level 40. At the exception of Machamp, just in case you get a mirror patch against someone that has a level 50 Machamp. So without further ado, as you see, Machamp used to max out at around 3056. I think that was the old IV. Now it maxed out near 3500. Ridiculously high attack, decent stamina and defense, and since this is maxed out for Master League, you can do a level, we could use a level 51, you can use level 51 if you want. Now Machamp's really great thing, great thing about Machamp is it's able to smash through steel, which is very prominent in Master League. Now, you do have a few weaknesses. For example, Fairy typing, Togekiss is probably going to be your worst nightmare in that regard. Same thing with Mewtwo. Mewtwo with Psystrike is a nightmare as well because it does a ton of damage and it can get to Psystrike relatively quickly. You don't have to worry about flying types too much unless you see Ho-Oh or Lugia running around, and it does have a decent amount of resistances. Well, an even amount of resistances. You're just Bug, Dark, and Rock, which from my knowledge, unless it's Rock Slide from an opposing Machamp, you don't see a lot of those typings in Open Master League. So that makes it kind of a little dangerous for Master League, Open Masters Machamp, just because you don't see a lot of things in Open Masters that you could resist. Not to say that's not bad though, because, you know, Machamp still wrecks because it has Cross Chop and Counter. It has Rock Slide, and we also have the exclusive move Payback, which we'll be looking at. Is level 50 Payback Machamp XL good for Open Master League? We're about to find out. Alright, so here's the Master Premier Cup rankings. I'm not going to go too deep into detail about this because as you see here, the Rock Slide variant actually works better for Master Premier. There's just more things that Machamp can cover with Rock Slide. But the thing about it is you're also not your only target basically is Metagross. The thing is, without Rock Slide, you really lose that coverage against Dragonite and Gyarados, as you see here, which are pretty vital because you can do a lot of damage if you land a Rock Slide on a Gyarados or Dragonite and possibly KO them. So Rock Slide in general is the better moveset. So before you think this is a clickbait video, I'm telling you right now, it's very likely Master Premier level 50 Machamp is not going to be great. If you are interested in how, what my outlook is or how the sim goes out, then by all means continue to watch. Otherwise, I appreciate your support. I appreciate you watching this video. But generally, what you want to do for Master Premier, even at level 50, is to have your Machamp XL have Rock Slide. Alright, as you see here, we got pvpoke.com Matrix. Again, if you would always like to, please, as I always say, please consider donating at pvpoke.com. Now I have Machamp. We got Payback, Cross Chop. We're only going to analyze Payback. I'm going to analyze Rock Slide some other time, but Machamp for level 50 right now, we're just going to focus primarily on Payback. As you see here, I have level 50, Shadow level 50, level 51, and level 51 Shadow. I also have the regular level 40 just in case you can make comparisons on how the level 41 does when you have it, or 50 versus 40, as I always do. Now, of course, everything on the right is going to be level 40. We're just going to assume that Machamp is a level 50 because you're facing other 50 Machamps, so we're just going to assume that. But other than that, the reason I don't go too deep into the Machamp mirror match is that whoever wins CMP or whoever has energy lead, then that's where things affect. I believe it's generated by random if your stats are even. So if you both have perfects, good luck. That's basically just what it is. I believe so. Anyways, if you run the sim as you see here, with Payback, Shadow Champ is actually able to take out Charizard, level 50 anyways. So 50 versus 40, you could just go straight Cross Chop, which is freaking nuts. For Conkeldurr, you're going to beat out Conkeldurr because Conkeldurr is level 40 and you do outpace it with these Cross Chops. You beat out Electivire for the same reason. You outpace it with Cross Chops. You lose Dragonite coverage, so if you see a Dragonite, you will lose on it even if you have a level 50 Machamp, so be careful of that. Garchomp's a pretty popular mon. Now, you can beat the Sand Tomb version, but you could beat it with this version as well, but you have to block the Outrage. As you see here, you're getting Sand Tomb, Outrage. You have to basically block the Outrage. So don't shield that. If you block the Outrage, Machamp can win. So this matchup is depending on whether or not you shield the the Outrage for regular champ. Shadow champ can just go boss down. As you see here, Sand Tomb's a little risky, but as you see, because you do all that shadow damage, they won't ever threaten to another Outrage. So a shadow one can just straight cross chop guard chop without worrying about Outrage. So you'll beat Glaceon. You lose against Gengar because it resists you. Also Gardevoir because it's a Charmer, of course. Now this is where it gets big. You lose Gyarados. You can beat the Waterfall one with a regular Machamp going straight, but you have to double bait and land Payback. So this is a bait dependent matchup. So just assume that you will lose against Gyarados because double baiting and landing Payback is a lot to ask for. You can try and pretend that you have Cross Chop and try to break shields, but the best case scenario is like I said here, you break shields and then you pay back. But you can only do this with regular Machamp. If you try to do it with Shadow, you're going to die. You could beat Paxorus. I believe you just go straight cross chop with Shadow. This is where Shadow actually does better. Shadow, as you see, flips a lot of... Shadow level 50 actually flips a lot of relevant matchups. You beat Magzone, you beat Metagross, Metagross, Rhyperior, Scizor. You just go to town against a lot of the meta. With the exception of Togekiss, because no matter... even if you're a level 50, this is... like, Charmer's gonna suck. Alright, so we did the 2 shield. Here's the 1 shield. As you see, the 1 shield and the 2 shield aren't very different. It's just you convincingly lose against Garchomp this time around. You'll also convincingly lose against Charizard because you can't straight cross chop, and you lose against Dragonite. But generally, the sims are the same, as you see here. But you can beat Waterfall Gyarados. It's still a bait-dependent matchup, though. You bait, and you pay back. So any matchup with Gyarados is a bait-dependent matchup, whether to win it. So in order to win... You can win against both versions, but you have to bait with Cross Chop. And Shadow Champ in the ones will lose to Dragon Breath Gyarados because it's so oppressive. As you see, the regular version's able to beat Haxorus in the ones versus the twos because you're able to survive. You beat a slew of the meta. But you still lose against Togekiss. So the ones and the twos aren't very off from each other. It's just the regular version does better in the 1 shield than 2 shield. Shadow generally does better in the 2s than the 1s versus... So it's like basically regular versus Shadow. In my opinion, you should probably look at the regular one because finding a Shadow Hundo is very bad. It's very rare. If you do have one, that's good. However, if you don't have one, it kind of sucks. Now we have the Zero Shield. As you see, I'm going to run the Zero Shield. Zeros is where it's probably your worst nightmare. Like, you're still going to beat a lot of things you could straight cross chop. However, you're going to lose against Calgador. You'll lose against Dragonite. You'll lose against both versions of Garchomp. Shadow Gardevoir, of course. You can beat regular Gengar with Payback Machamp with the regular Machamp because you can get there. Generally, if you hit a Gengar with Payback, you can kill it. So just as long as you can get the energy for Payback, you'll nuke a whole Gengar. Gyarados, as you see here, Shadow Champ is able to take out Gyarados. I believe you go Payback. Yeah, so you just go straight Payback. So against the Gyarados, both Gyarados is Shadow Champ. This is where Shadow Champ does better in the closer, as you see here. You're able to take out a slew of things with a level 50 Shadow Champ. You're gonna lose against Metagross just because you don't do damage, but as you see here, you have to do some chip anyways to get to level 50. For Shadow Champ, you kind of have to have energy lead, so you have to have some energy here. As you see, 21 energy. If you start with, I would say, 3 counters worth of energy, I believe you can flip this matchup. So you have to start with a little bit of energy lead, and then you can nuke the Metagross. You beat Rhyperior, Scizor, Snorlax, Swampert. Of course, you're going to lose against Togekiss. There's no scenario where you beat Togekiss. Togekiss will just destroy you, so take out Togekiss. And that's basically it. With shield advantage, as you see here in the 1-0s, you start taking out a slew of things. Machamp Shadow can basically run over most of the meta, except for all the Charmers. As you see, level 50 Machamp is a beast with a shield. So you'll run through most of the entire meta, except Charmers, and unless you have the regular versus Shadow version. This is where the Shadow version just shines. It just literally wrecks things like no tomorrow. It's nuts. And at 2-0s, you will take out everything but Charmers with level 50 or level 40. That's just how good Machamp is. With shield advantage, obviously the scenario is going to flip, but as you see here, generally the same thing. So in the 2-to-1s, you're only gonna lose against Charmers, which is pretty nuts. So level 50 Machamp with shield advantage is busted. Both versions are. So if you have shield advantage or even energy lead, that's pretty nuts. It's really, really good. So if I had to give XL50 Machamp with Payback a rating for Master Premier, I'd give it a 7 out of 10. Just because of the presence of Togekiss, and just because, like, level 50 Machamp is... You're going to see other level 50 Machamps running around if you play Ultra Premier. So the thing about Machamp is generally Rock Slide is better. It's not worth to lose the Dragonite and the Gyarados matchup to cover one Mon. Does that make sense? With Rock Slide, you also have a chance to cover Togekiss, which is really important because being able to drop rocks at a Togekiss to take it out is really good because you can get charmed down. The thing about Machamp is that overall it's extremely powerful. That's a good thing. With shield advantage, it's really strong, so you don't even need Rock Slide for most scenarios. Payback can actually do a ton of damage. Payback also gives you a stronger matchup versus Metagross, which is one of the most popular patterns and one of the most heavy Metamons of the Masters Premier. So because of that, Payback is really good. And most of the time you're going to cross chop down. There's also some scenarios where you could flip things like Gyarados if you're able to double bait. Yes, it's a lot to ask for, but being able to still flip a matchup by double baiting and hitting a Payback is still really good. At the same time, a level 50 Machamp with shield advantage, as you saw in The Sims, is really good. You give it shield advantage, it does a lot of damage against the entire meta. Except for Charmers. Now, that's the big weakness, that's the big con, is that giving Payback, you essentially give up that coverage against Charmers. Not only that, Payback only covers 2 typings, Psychic and Ghost. There's not a lot of level 50 Gengars in Master Premier. Also, not a lot of... The only pattern you're really gunning against is Metagross, and sometimes you're, like, in a lot of scenarios, Cross-Chop Machamp straight Cross-Chop can take out Metagross, so... It's really up to you. Payback is a really good move in general. It covers Metagross really well, like I said, and it's just really, really strong, and it allows you to do a lot of fancy things. That being said, the Shadow version looks to be more stronger than the normal version, but it's hard to get, so that's why it's like, if you don't have the Shadow version, it's kind of not... you can still run it, it's just the Shadow flips so many more matchups in more scenarios than the normal version does. Not to say the normal isn't bad. Would I dabble in a Master Premier? No. I would rather play Great League because you don't know what's going on. For example, the Sims I ran is assuming 50 versus 40. If someone has a level 50 Metagross, that changes the entire landscape. So, rather than deal with that madness, I would definitely just go with the week-long Great League Cup that they're going on because it's just not worth it. Masters Premier also has the, like, double whammy to where Masters Premier, there's no Master Premier Classic. So it's no holds barred, level 50s everywhere. So I definitely don't recommend you play Masters Premier. Especially with, another thing to look out for is level 50 Gyarados. With level 50 Gyarados, you do not flip it with Payback. It will destroy you, especially the Dragon Breath one. If you watch The Sims, as you see, Dragon Breath Gyarados is a monster, and it is very difficult to take out with Payback. But Payback Machop is okay. If you want to run it just to be spicy, that's fine. I think it can get you some W's. If you're trying to see it to climb, it's going to be really useful. Unfortunately, I don't foresee it being very, very, very good. Rock Slide's better, just in general. If you guys like this video, please like and subscribe. And good luck on your battle, and I will see you guys on the next video.